just coming in on the broadcast. This is about what the DGCA is doing. So DGCA has rolled back its rule that stopped airlines from using leave in place of weekly rest for crew. So DGCA has rolled back the FDTL rule. This is big. Hina is joining us on the broadcast with more details. The change is effective immediately. IndiGo cited this as a reason, sought relaxation, said that the situation will be normalized, Hina, till February 2026. And now DGCA has rolled back the FDTL rule.
Well, not the entire regime has been rolled back. In fact, one particular provision which allowed the airlines to actually substitute, leaves with their weekly rest. Now, there is only one circular that has been withdrawn, and it basically stopped airlines from using leave that are the rights of the pilots and the crew members in place of weekly rest for crew. That particular, circular has been withdrawn. Simply put, this is what happens really when you have a monopoly or a duopoly in any sector. In aviation sector, this has been a cause of concern for a very, very long time. Rest, stress issues, fatigue issues with pilots have also been a cause of concern for a very long time, and that is precisely the reason why DGCA, in consultation with all the airlines, started working on a new FDTL regime, which mandated 48 hours of weekly rest for the pilots because it is a high-stress job. Earlier, the rest period was 36 hours. It was increased to 48 hours, and a few other changes were brought in as well. But we saw what happened in the last 4 days, how it became a nightmare for the passengers, and because of one airline. Yesterday, the representatives of that airline go to the minister, explain to the Minister of Civil Aviation that yes, we messed up and look what we are now getting in return. One of the important points in this entire regime has been rolled back. The question really is, why is this happening? Why is IndiGo as an airline not being really questioned? I mean, it's got a market share.
Not just questioned, but what about action? They can't just say we messed up and leave the passengers to bear the brunt of it. Let me also go across to Meghna. Hina, stay on with us. Meghna will take us through that new direction of the DGCA.
Well, absolutely. And just to take off from what Hina was saying, IndiGo is one of the biggest. It is the biggest airlines of India with a market share of over 60% in Indian airplanes, which is why this desperate move for a rollback has been initiated by the DGCA. Questions, however, must be raised as to why now and why after postponement now finally a rollback. This is what the DGCA says in its notice. It says that withdrawal of instructions regarding the published weekly rest, whereas reference is invited to the above mentioned letter, specifically to the paragraph substantiating and saying that there should be no leave should be substituted for weekly off, and whereas in view of the ongoing operational disruptions and representations received from the various airlines, which of course IndiGo is one of the biggest lobbyists when it came against the pilot rest rules. It says that the need to ensure continuity, stability of operations, it has been considered necessary to review the said provisions. Now, therefore, the instruction contained in the reference paragraph that no leave shall be substituted for weekly off is thereby withdrawn with immediate effect. This issues with the approval of the competent authority, which is the CA. And it's important to point out, Swati, here that for many months they knew that it was coming. It was in two different phases that they imposed these new rules, one in June, and now it was supposed to happen in November. So it's not like the airlines did not know. They have been lobbying hard against it. The pilots associations have been saying that this was nothing but a pressure tactic by IndiGo, and it appears that DGCA has given in.
That's not just a theory or a speculation anymore. That seems to be the case. Pressure tactic. Let me go across to Isha on that. Isha, the only demand now is that the government intervene, but not just to normalize the situation, but take some punitive action against IndiGo.
Right, Swati, the situation is going from bad to worse. We have seen how, as you were also pointing out, the DGCA has withdrawn a particular circular which speaks about rest hours. But at the moment, we are seeing harrowing visuals coming in from different airports as well. The Civil Aviation Minister, Ram Mohan Naidu, held a top-level meeting yesterday. He has expressed displeasure with IndiGo over the current situation. there is at hand. The on-time performance is also extremely poor when we speak of IndiGo, and of course there is a lot of flack that the DGCA, the ministry, and of course IndiGo is also receiving from the passengers on the ground. So definitely this is the time for the ministry to take action. This is the time for, as they are also, but definitely need to ramp up the efforts because people are currently struggling badly on the ground.
All right, Isha, stay on with us. Let me quickly bring in Abhijit. Abhijit, the pressure tactic seems to be working. Was this perhaps the plan all along to not comply?
Of course it was the plan. You know, the FDTL rules went issued overnight. You know, the pilot rosters are, I would recommend, you know, our viewers go check out pilot rostering on YouTube. There's a video on how Lufthansa does it. The pilot rosters in Lufthansa are decided a whole year ahead. You know, so this is something that should have been rostered months ahead. Are you telling me that this is such an incompetent airline that they didn't even know how to roster and suddenly they didn't know? Why did they announce? See, we know IndiGo tends to hoard routes, they tend to hoard gates, and they tend to extend their winter schedule to compensate for smog or in most cases to accelerate the smog delay. They've always used it to their advantage. This has been a very significant pattern that we've noticed year after year, year after year. Why is it that IndiGo is the most? Now, see, we can't blame the government for IndiGo getting a monopoly. That has happened because, you know, Air India's management has been so atrocious. They've ceded a lot of the ground. We've seen SpiceJet sort of their management essentially collapse. Akasha is gaining market share, but, well, it's a slow thing. IndiGo, being in the position that it did, nobody in their right mind can ever say that this was unforeseen.
Right.
This was not just foreseen, it was most probably planned, and basically blackmail has succeeded. And it is really shameful at the kind of absenteeism we have seen from the civil aviation minister, who hasn't opened his mouth and is issuing a statement. He may make a statement in parliament. बहुत मेहरबानी कर दी हम पे. Thank you very much.
Well, pressure tactics seem working, but will it mount enough pressure for the government to act? Let me go across to Rucha. Rucha, what's the status on ground?
In Pune airport, at Pune International Airport, we saw the people are now fed up, and every hour they are getting angrier because they are yet to get any update whether their flight is rescheduled, whether it is cancelled. And most important part is the passengers who had checked in, they are not able to get back their luggage. Now those who have checked in are they are curious to get their luggage back because they want to leave now, but their luggage is not reachable, is what the authorities are saying. In fact, not just the IndiGo passengers, but because of IndiGo, other airlines including SpiceJet and Air India Express are also affected at the Pune International Airport. And the airport is located in a rural area where it is very difficult to reach. There are no big hotels nearby, and those who exist are overpriced, which is why the passengers are now taking care of themselves. They have to, they are forced to book the expensive hotels to stay overnight. Many of them are living on the airports, and in fact we are in a digital era where it only takes 5 seconds to generate a message and send it to all the passengers, but the IndiGo is failing at the very communication, which is very easy to communicate to all the passengers what
one
the
thing,
actual
that confusion prevailed. There's lack of clarity even in the ground staff and employees of IndiGo. Let me quickly also go across to Shefali. Shefali is at the Delhi airport. Shefali, and I see passengers around you. Would it be possible for you to speak to them?
Yes, sure. We can certainly try over here. There are many stranded passengers. Sir, have your flight also cancelled?
Yes, it is cancelled.
What is the status? कितने बजे की flight थी? क्या situation?
I had a flight at 3:30 towards Bangalore, so it is cancelled.
So now, is there any communication that has been provided?
No, there is no communication provided. Actually, we are on a office visit to Noida. So we are contacting our office folks so that they can reschedule any flights, or we're checking with them right now.
Yes. Thank you, sir. So there are passengers, as you can see. I'll ask my video journalist to show this. You can see the whole airport is crowded. Everyone here either waiting for their luggage or waiting for any kind of confirmation from
and
the
Shefali,
airline.
your flight was cancelled too. So tell us about the communication that happened with you? What were you told?
Yes, my flight from Lucknow, it was scheduled for today, and I was continuously, after I got to know through the passenger advisory issued by Delhi Airport that all flights till midnight are cancelled. I tried to communicate with IndiGo airline, and I can show you on my WhatsApp also. There is a IndiGo site where if you message your PNR number, they will respond as per what's your flight status. So whenever I am putting the details of my PNR number, it says, oops, it seems there was an error processing in your request. So basically they are not even providing a detail that my flight has been cancelled. So if a passenger is staying at home and is not aware about the whereabouts of the news and not is on X or not watching news, they would have no idea about if their flight has been cancelled or not, and they would end up coming to the airport, and then the same situation will happen. So we are asking, when will IndiGo communicate with their passengers?
All right, Shefali, stay on with us. In fact, Captain Amit Singh, aviation expert and founder, Safety Matters Foundation, has joined us on the broadcast. He earlier filed an online petition seeking accountability. Captain Amit Singh, what we are learning now is that DGCA has rolled back one rule that stopped airlines from using leave in place of weekly rest for crew. And would you say the theory and speculation that was doing the rounds of pressure tactics is perhaps true? That is what was happening right from the beginning.
It is absolutely true. If the airlines are not aware of their planning schedules, that is basically giving a lie to the public, a blatant lie. Airlines plan well in advance, their schedules are made well in advance, the aircraft deliveries are planned well in advance. So it is not that on December 2nd or 3rd something suddenly propped up. And the pressure tactic was to get the FTTL, the flight duty time limitation, extended so that they can operate their schedules without additional cost. So that is a compromise with safety that the airline is doing, and the government seemed to have given in to them, to their demands, and on an ad hoc basis, safety is being compromised. So there is no systematic way or scientific way in which it is being addressed. Everything is being done ad hoc. You change one rule, then you change the other rule. Then Air India will come in and seek similar dispensations. So there's a need for a bigger or a higher level collaboration between all the stakeholders to decide how to go about it. And my petition is basically about accountability, that immediately a fund has to be established for compensation. So refund is not equal to compensation. Compensation is for all the trouble which has been caused to people who are going for medical treatment or for any other important appointment or just travel. So that is, they have to be compensated for the loss of time, and there has to be a value to that. You cannot just pay a measly 1,000 or 2,000 rupees refund to a passenger, and for that also they have to struggle. In other countries, the passenger rights are protected, which means in case of a fault of an airline like this, it is not considered an extraordinary situation. It is the fault of the airline, and they have to pay direct compensation without any forms which are required to be filled. So the petition is basically to the government to make a fund, and basically then a deterrent has to be there so that the airline does not repeat the same mistake. So the deterrent has to be firstly in form of a fine, a large amount of fine which hurts the airline, because people, if you see the state of the passengers sleeping on the floors of an airport.
Absolutely.
So
well, there are certain things, Captain Amit Singh, that can't be compensated, Abhijit. But like Captain Singh is saying, yes, you need to, set an example. IndiGo dominates the domestic market. For the others who are growing, trying to establish themselves in the domestic market, there has to be some set rules that you can't take the passengers and the authority in the entire country for a ride.
Look, there are set rules about this. The problem is IndiGo is violating them so flagrantly, and the minister concerned doesn't seem to. Have you seen his pathetic tweet? IndiGo's put out a pathetic tweet some 13 hours back, and the ministers put an even more pathetic tweet 2 hours before IndiGo. There's clearly some kind of collusion happening out here, and this is not a normal delay. See, if pilots, FDTL rules and things like that about pilots, why are people's baggage on the ground getting delayed? Are the baggage workers also, or is it because the smog is so deep that the baggage workers couldn't see inside the cargo hold of the plane to get the baggage out? No, this is very, very clearly what is happening. Severe, gross mismanagement. There need to be exemplary fines. If necessary, the government needs to step in and put these people into hotels and bill it all to IndiGo and take it out of their bank account. They have the ability to remove funds from the bank account. This is where you go in and use regulatory power, harsh regulatory power if required. See, we're all for capitalism, right? We have never asked for, if you notice, I've been on your program several times, when people were complaining, oh, you're charging, IndiGo's charging me too much to go from here to there. We have always supported IndiGo's right to price their tickets as per the market. But capitalism has to have regulations. This is one of the cases where they have abused their market position. The minister is very clearly colluding with them, or he's incompetent. So it is one of two things.
Do you then agree with what the opposition, what Rahul Gandhi is specifically saying about monopoly match fixing?
Well, I'm not agreeing with him on match fixing because the way he's framed it is very problematic. My dilemma here is either Rahul Gandhi is right, or in all probability, the civil aviation minister is incompetent.
Captain Amit Singh, your views on that?
Well, clearly this is a collusion because the things don't happen overnight. The schedules are known well in advance, and there is the means of compensation is not there. A passenger's time and money is not being compensated. So what we have demanded is immediate, there should be a compensation fund of 500 crores. Each passenger should be compensated 75,000, senior citizen, children, even 2 lakhs. So that is the way 200 crore penalty on IndiGo. So that is the kind of measures that government needs to take so as to set an example, and a bill has to be presented in the parliament for protection of passenger rights. Right now there is a civil aviation requirement which gives only the procedures. How do you claim refunds on your tickets? But passenger rights, there is no voice. Passengers are the major stakeholders in this industry, and they have no voice. That is the biggest problem.
Right. You know, what I want to understand from you is, how will this impact? Now, DGCA says that this will help in managing the issue of staff shortage. How will this impact the pilots? How will this impact them, the taking back of this one rule? Is it going to make this issue any simpler, any easier?
Look, nobody is trying to understand what fatigue is all about. When this FDTL was implemented in January 2024, the airlines pushed back. They said we need more pilots, 25% more. So, okay, understood. But they were given definite timelines for implementation. When the first phase was implemented in July this year, nothing happened, no cancellations. Second phase in November, nothing happened. What happened in December? That everything broke loose, hell broke loose. So it is not the implementation, it is what the airline was trying to push for, something called a fatigue risk management system, in which you can squeeze more hours from the pilots. And there was a pushback from the pilot community because it is a very systematic data-driven process. You cannot implement, the DGCA wanted to implement it through a circular. It has to be a regulation wherein you have to have a 30-day period in which you invite public comments. So DGCA wanted a direct implementation without the proper procedures. So that is what thwarted. That was thwarted by the airline and the passenger and the pilot associations. That is because now IndiGo did not have a plan B. They were banking heavily on this. So that failed, because of which now they had about 65 to 100 captains short. That is what they claim.
Right.
And by reducing the rest and other things, you're basically playing around with the passenger safety.
Absolutely.
So
That's the most important point, in fact. So, yes, Abhijit wants to come in. So Abhijit, in that case, squeezing more hours out of the pilot is in one way or the other compromising with safety of the passengers.
Of course it is, because remember, there was that horrific crash of the Air India Express jet with the Serbian pilot. and the fault was that pilot had, he had a micro sleep moment during the landing phase apparently. Right? These rules are very scientifically calculated and put in after a lot of consideration and time and motion studies and things like that. Now, these rules were notified sometime in mid-2024. IndiGo had a full, 12 to 18 months, more than a year to make the adjustments. They knew, they had already said, like my co-panelist said, they had already said that they required 25% more pilots. Why did they not hire those pilots? Now, if you don't hire those pilots, what you do is you curb your schedule. Now, you've not sold tickets 12 to 18 months in advance, so you know when the pilot shortage is going to hit, and you know you want to curb your schedule and, reduce the number of flights over that period of time. You did not do that. Now, even if the pilots are a shortage, are your ground crew a shortage? What is preventing them from calling up and telling people?
Absolutely.
Right. You just played a video clip of one of your correspondents showing where even the website is... So what, even their IT crew is now shortage. So their IT crew is shortage, their website is non-functional, their baggage handlers aren't working. This is what you call a coordinated, concerted cabal.
They waited for it to go out of control.
They waited for it. They waited for it and they've won.
All right. Abhijit, stay on with us. Captain Amit Singh, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. We also have some ground reports lined up.
The impact of the delays and cancellation of IndiGo can be seen in the entire nation. We are also being joined by somebody who had a family affair and their flight was cancelled and not even informed. So please tell us what is your name and where were you going?
My name is Samiran Sarkar, and long back we have booked the ticket, and there is no information from IndiGo end, SMS or by mail, the cancel is there. And they have already been issued this, web checking also been done. When we came to the airport, then I came to know this flight had cancelled. And there is no any alternate has been done by them. They are not sending anything, they are hiding something, and they are not very transparent anything. Ultimate, I have booked another airlines by 25,000 rupees. 1 month back, I booked the ticket.
1 month back,
yes.
And now they have cancelled and they are not informed.
All of us, yes.
Because the courtesy message comes.
Nothing has come. Nothing has come. There is a total monopoly by this thing. And government also silent about this. No action, nothing.
I'm about to go to Aizawl, and I have a layover on Guwahati first, and then Aizawl I have to catch the IndiGo flights. But sadly, it has been cancelled in the morning.
Did you get any kind of message? Because a message comes in when there is any kind of cancellation through WhatsApp or through mail. Did you receive any kind of intimation like that?
I don't receive any prior information from the IndiGo flights, but since we have booked the ticket through agents, I cannot receive the message, maybe because of that. My friends have received the message that they will refund the tickets after 2 or 3 days like that, but I cannot see any message from my phone.
इंडिगो की फ्लाइट्स लगातार कैंसिल होने से कियोस्क की स्थिति पूरे देश के एयरपोर्ट्स पर बनी हुई है। राजधानी भोपाल में भी 6 फ्लाइट्स कैंसिल हुई हैं। तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं कि इंडिगो के काउंटर पर इस समय लोग आए हुए हैं। मैम, किस तरह के इश्यूज आ रहे हैं?
अभी तो इन्होंने कैंसिलेशन दिया, लेकिन ये भी नहीं बताया कि शाम को हम लोग यहाँ तक आ गए। कोई कैंसिलेशन मैसेज नहीं है। मॉर्निंग में एक मैसेज आया कि योर फ्लाइट विल बी डिलेड टिल 12:15। नाउ दे आर सेइंग कि नाउ नो फ्लाइट्स इज फ्लाइंग। नाउ आई हैव अ कनेक्टिंग फ्लाइट to going to Dubai, and they're saying no flight is going. How you will go?
IndiGo की मुंबई की मेरी फ्लाइट आज ग्वालियर से भी थी, तो उसका कल मेरे को मेल आ गया था कि कैंसिल हो रही है। तो मैं आज ट्रेन से आया यहाँ पे भोपाल, क्योंकि मेरे को मुंबई जाना था अर्जेंट, और अब यहाँ पे आके पता पड़ रहा है कि ये फ्लाइट भी कैंसिल हो गई है। दे नॉट इवन पेइंग फॉर द ऑडियल एंड द एक्सपेंसेस दैट वी हैड टू इनकर। वो बोल रहे हैं कि आपका बस रिफंड दे देंगे। बहुत ही खराब है ये। अगर वो कल रात को मेल कर देते तो एटलीस्ट मैं ग्वालियर से यहाँ तक नहीं आया होता। बाकी कोई फ्लाइट भी नहीं है। एंड द नेक्स्ट फ्लाइट इज फॉर टुमारो, उसका कॉस्ट इज आल्सो 65,000।
रिफंड का पॉलिसी में बताया अभी जाने का, मंडे वापसी का नहीं बताया। वो पैसे कहाँ से रिफंड होगा? आप हमें गोवा लेकर ही नहीं गए, तो वापस जब हमें आना है तो वहां से फ्लाइट बुक है वापसी की अलग से, सेम इंडिगो की है, तो वो तो फ्लाइट खाली आएगी या हमें कैंसिल कर।
वजह क्या बता रहे हैं कैंसिल होने?
उनके पास कोई प्रॉपर वजह नहीं है फिलहाल। अच्छा, कुछ बोल नहीं पाए।
तो कोई वजह उनके पास नहीं है। तमाम जो पैसेंजर्स हैं इस समय परेशान हो रहे हैं। गोवा, बेंगलुरु, मुंबई और दिल्ली की कुल फ्लाइट्स मिलाकर 6 फ्लाइट्स हैं भोपाल से जो फिलहाल कैंसिल हो गई हैं। इंडिगो से सही जवाब नहीं मिल पाने की वजह से पूरी परेशानी बढ़ती जा रही है। कैमरा यशवंत के साथ मकरंद काली, टाइम्स ऑफ भारत, भोपाल।
पूरे देश में इंडिगो की फ्लाइट लगातार कैंसिल हो रही है, रिशेड्यूल्ड हो रही है और इस वजह से यात्री काफी परेशान है। देखिए पटना एयरपोर्ट पर हम मौजूद है और यहाँ पर लंबी कतार आप देखिए, यहाँ पर इंडिगो फ्लाइट्स जो है वो कैंसिल चल रही है और जो यात्री हैं जो इंडिगो विमान से यात्रा करने वाले थे वो परेशान है। यहाँ पर आप देखिए लंबी कतार, आपको एयरपोर्ट पर जो काउंटर है इंडिगो की वहां पर आप देख सकते हैं कि कितनी लंबी कतार यहाँ पर लगी है और क्योंकि जो यहाँ काउंटर है यहाँ भी कुछ क्लियर नहीं बताया जा रहा है लोगों को, इस वजह से यहाँ पर परेशानी जो है वो यात्रियों को झेलनी पड़ रही है। देखिए किस तरह से यहाँ पर जो लोग हैं वो किस तरह से परेशान है। यहाँ देखिए एक भाई साहब यहाँ पर काउंटर पे हैं, क्या दिक्कत आ रही है?
टिकट का फिर क्या होगा? सर हम तो कल टिकट बुक किया, कैंसिल हो गया, आज टिकट बुक किया, सो आज आया था, चेक इन करके अंदर गया, अंदर आने के बाद वो बोल रहा है अभी फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो गया, सिर्फ वायर भेज दिया और 2 दिन के लिए कोई फ्लाइट नहीं है, सो हम वापस चेन्नई जा रहा है। रिफंड अभी तक पूछा नहीं, अभी वो दे रहा है सबको।
देखिए आपको कुछ बता रही है यहाँ पर, तो ये समस्या देखिए किस तरह से लोगों के पास जो है वो यहाँ पर आ रही है। देखिए कुछ लड़कियां भी, आप कहाँ जा रही हैं?
मेरी कोलकाता की फ्लाइट थी जो कि अभी मेरे को पता चल रहा है कि अभी जैसे मोस्ट प्रोबेबली बोला जा रहा है कि कैंसिल्ड हो गई है। ये 3 दिन से चल रही है। मेरी 2 दिसंबर को भी फ्लाइट थी तो वो भी पोस्टपोन्ड हो गया था।
So DGCA has buckled under pressure. It has taken back one rule which debarred the airlines from treating leave as mandatory weekly rest. And DGCA says this has been done to manage staff shortage. But what about the